Trust, P.O. Box 687, Leominster, Mass. For a site plan on William Street for new construction of an office building.
Oh, sorry. My name is Anthony Cleave from Whitney & Bingham Associates. It's my card for the record. Representing the William Street Realty Trust for this project. The project is located on William Street in the industrial zone. Some of you may recognize it. This project received site plan approval back in 1999. I brought a copy of the old approval if you guys want to take a look at it. Just pass it along, please. In general, the overall site really hasn't changed much from that original approval. What has changed is we've lengthened the size of the building. Previously, it was 120 feet by 48 feet. We've increased the length to 172 feet, and the width stays the same at 48 feet. The utilities proposed, same as it was on the original plan, connecting the water line into the existing water line in William Street, connecting the sewer into the existing sewer in William Street, and then also staying consistent with the previous plan, the stormwater will be collected by catch basins within the proposed parking areas and put into an infiltration trench approximately 12 feet in width to recharge the stormwater, and then those trenches also have overflows out to the existing drainage system in William Street. One of the other changes from the previous approved plan is we're adding access to the rear of the building. Before, we did not have that. We're proposing some overhead doors to provide a spot for deliveries to the building, and also providing around the building access for fire department as well. And showed some landscaped areas, snow storage areas along the perimeter of the proposed parking area, as well as up in the front. It's a proposed office use. The previous project proposed a two-story building with a little less of a footprint. We have a larger footprint, but we're proposing one story. So the actual parking required is less than what the previous plan was. The previous plan, I believe, was about 37 parking spaces. We're only required to have 27. We're providing 30 spaces for the project. That's basically. I did bring some copies of the old plan if the board would like to take a look at that.
I think we have to see that because
Sure.
there's new zoning since then, and we have to look at the parking
Sure.
requirements.
The parking went one space for 250 square feet for the office. Again, the entire building is proposed to be office, and that's how the parking calculations were determined. This is the new plan.
Yeah, we have that.
Okay.
Yeah, we got the new one, yeah. We
Okay,
just
this
did
is the old
one.
one.
You didn't keep parking.
So again, the overall gross square floor area, square footage of floor area for the previous building, we're almost cut that in half. Before we had about 11,000 square feet gross floor area. In the new plan, we have a little over 8,000. But again, the new, I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. See, the new footprint has made a big impact on the parking.
Yeah, well, we lost some parking spaces. But again, with the required parking is less because we got rid of one of the floors.
But there's no parking allowed in the 25-foot setback in the zoning ordinance. So you took most of those that were on the side and put them to the front where they're not allowed.
in the front yard setback.
That's correct.
Again,
Sure.
staying consistent
We'll
with,
have to look at that very carefully. That may require a variance. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, 'cause that's not something we can waive.
even though it was on the previously approved site plan.
Previously, this is significantly different. You know, you're going from a two-story office building to a single-story,
Right, so I think
and it's, you know, so,
we're reducing the square footage, so we believe, understand the impact is less. We're reducing the amount of parking requirements, we're reducing the amount of square footage. So it's actually a reduction in the scope of the project compared to the previously approved plan. Parking, again, we required 10 less parking spaces.
That was a minimal violation, this is a major violation.
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So again, that was, again, we just stayed consistent with the previously approved site plan. Again, we thought that the changes were fairly minor in nature. Again, the overall utilities are the same, the building use is the same. Again, the footprint, it got a little longer, but the net floor area has significantly been reduced. Thus, the parking requirements reduced and the amount of parking provided has been reduced.
The problem here, Anthony, is that they're using William Street like a private driveway. The zoning ordinance says that there'll be no parking within the setback and that all vehicles must exit and enter onto a public street by being driven in a forward direction, and no vehicle shall be required to enter or leave by backing. That was minimized on the other place, but by eliminating the two big parking lots on each side of the building, we moved all that parking to where it doesn't belong. That was a minimal waiver in the last plan.
On the previous plan, the parking was the same. We had parking backing out.
Yeah, how many spaces?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Versus how many now?
16.
8. Okay, we'll have to
Well, but again, we've also provided
evaluate that.
3 more parking spaces than were required.
The dotted
So
line,
we could remove 3 of
where
those
is the
parking.
pavement?
Existing pavement.
Is that dotted line,
Is this
correct?
yes,
See,
exactly.
so you got one big curb cut there.
And the property line is where?
The property line is right here, this dark line.
See, you're on the property line.
And then what's the distance to the
And
building?
you've put your landscaping into city property.
Well, yeah, we'll propose to landscape that area, not leave it undisturbed.
Require 25 feet in industrial. I think you have the 25 feet, right?
What's that, for the setback?
Yes.
For the building, yes, we have 25.5 feet.
Okay, good, thank you.
The other thing on the plan that from the previous permit that we changed, this parking that was along William Street was proposed as compact parking spaces. I had made them full parking spaces. That's another consideration if that would help alleviate the concerns with that, because we could make those, a portion of those compact cars.
Okay, where is so the line is the right of way.
Yes, the property line is the right of way, which is
So
this
you're
right here.
proposing, in the right of way, you're proposing to put in a landscape area.
Again, it's just an area that would be landscaped, to not leave it, otherwise it would, if we didn't propose a landscaped area, it'd just be undisturbed.
Well, it's usually a sidewalk and a green strip that goes there, and then you usually have tree plantings required in the grass strip. So we could think of doing that to some level. But what the zoning requires in the industrial is that number of driveways permitting entrance to and from a parking lot shall be limited to 2 per street line. You have 20. So that's quite a big violation, zoning ordinance.
Yeah, again,
I know what you're,
I know what you're saying.
Trying to do what everybody else has gotten away with, but it's not allowed under the zoning.
And you've got new zoning now, and you have to go by the new zoning. I don't think we can deal with this as a variance to the old, because it's a new plan.
It's going to be just considered a modification to the previously approved.
If you would change it by a couple of feet, you know, and you add in a couple of parking places or subtracting them, or something like that, then that's a minor modification. But when you totally change the footprint of the building,
Well, we really didn't, I mean,
you change the footprint of the building considerably,
yeah,
you lost a lot of your parking, and which some of it was on the sides, and we were gonna try to focus people to use the ones on the sides and try to minimize the ones in the front. And as you said originally, the ones in the front I think were compact.
yes.
They were restricted to compact.
Yes.
And they were over. You had extra parking places,
Correct.
okay? So at that time, it wasn't as strict as it is today, because we've had a lot of problems with cars backing out into the right-of-way. So in essence, that's what people have to do, is your parking places essentially is that you've gone right to the right-of-way, and it's exactly the same problem we have on Route 12 today.
Right.
I guarantee this is not Route 12.
Right, it's a dead-end street.
Yeah, no, it's not the same, but this is exactly what people did on Route 12. They put their parking, they put their building, put their parking, and the bumper is literally on the property line. And now the people are backing into 12 and they say, we've got a problem. You know, and it's causing problem with traffic.
Right.
So that's where we're concerned about that, and how that, you know, what you have there. Now, you've got this passed on the old zoning. On the new zoning, I think the plan itself, you know, your flows and the number of parking places, you get all the rest of that. At this point, I think that I believe, you would have to go to the ZBA to get a waiver on that frontage setback for your parking,
Parking.
okay? Because that exceeds what the planning board can do, okay? So, I mean, we can look at it, we can condition it, okay? Or we can postpone it and you can go to the ZBA. And that way you can go off and you really should have your waiver on the front setback violation for the parking. And it's something we really don't like, because, and I agree, this is a dead-end street, so you tend to be, we're more flexible,
Yeah,
okay? If this was a main road, it would not happen,
sure.
okay? And at this point, it would have to be up to the zoning board whether they give you that waiver for that parking. That's how I see it. Do you agree with that, Alma?
Right, well, it's spelled right out for us what we can
Yeah.
approve and what we can't, so.
Yeah, at this point, we can't approve this as it is.
Okay, even, again, because
Even if we like it.
it's more than a significant, you feel it's more than a
That-
significant
that-
change from the previously approved plan?
Because of the zoning, not because it's just, if you change 2 or 3 parking places and moved it a foot or 2,
Uh-huh.
that's insignificant, and we could have gone along with what you had. This is a major change. You've taken the building from 2 stories down to 1 story.
Mhm.
Even though you've decreased the total square footage, you've changed the character of the total layout of the space. And you have you have very little parking on the side now, and you're counting for all your parking in the front, where we were focusing on the parking to be on the side. And this is basically, the front parking was gonna be overflow parking. Okay?
So basically, it's my understanding that the board feels that it would exceed their authority to be able to approve this plan based on the current zoning,
That's
Right.
correct.
even though it was
We
previously
like to
approved.
see you
Yeah.
putting in office building, we like that.
We're not in opposition to that, but
Okay.
we don't have the authority, really, at this point. For the site plan, we can look at the site plan, but the waiver, on this is gonna come from the zoning board of appeals.
So would the best course of action be continue this public hearing and until we can go to the ZBA or go through the site plan approval process with a condition that?
No, because I can't really accept additional information once I close the hearing,
I was wondering, could we continue the public?
but I can
hearing?
continue the public hearing for like 2 months. That'll give you time to apply to the ZBA, get it through their system, okay? Those recommendations come to us anyway. We'll can make a recommendation back to them. They'll look at it. I have no idea what their schedule is. And at that point, then you can come back to us. And as soon as we know what their definite, we'll schedule it out to the July meeting. You should be able to get it done by then.
Mark Albert, the
Can I
property.
Yes,
say
Mark.
something? My name is Mark Albert, 49 Royal Oaks Way in Leominster, Mass. For the record. I'm the owner of the property. I'm the trustee of William Street Realty Trust. Two things I'd like to ask the board. One, that was an approved site plan, knowing full well that there were some compact parking spaces down front. I think if I understand you correctly, you say the zoning laws have since changed.
That's correct.
So the idea of taking an approved site plan and going back, it's not as if this is the first time this plan or this site comes before the board. I mean, two things. One, we've we've made provisions for 1 parking space for every 250 square feet, which is, I believe, the heaviest use for office space. More than likely, it's not going to be 100% office space. More than likely, very small amount of it. There's a tremendous amount of office space within the city. We're thinking it's more going to be office/storage, maybe a plumber who wants to have a little bit of storage out back there. So the idea of if the parking is the issue out front, and we're using the worst case scenario count-wise, I mean, isn't there some type of, I mean, if we gave you the equivalent of what was in the front prior to, would that be acceptable? Or? I think there's a discrepancy of 5 or, I'm not sure what the count was on the original count of parking places in the front of the building.
We proposed 3 additional parking spaces in the front.
3 additional in
You
the
got
front?
3 more in the front.
Yeah, so if we got rid of the 3, it would be down to what still the maximum,
We'd still have
enough at 250.
But I'm saying, what,
What's the zoning?
it's industrial.
This shows commercial on this locus.
There's a zone line that runs through there due to
Yeah, check
the line type, it's a dash line.
Hmm?
This line actually connects. It's commercial on the other side, it's industrial on this side. The abutting properties, just on the other side, I believe it's commercial.
The problem, we're dealing with a different set of rules from the first time,
I understand.
okay?
But this is not the first time this site plan.
I realize that.
Come before
If you
the
had
board.
come before, this is as far as the building is concerned, from 2-story to a single-story building and going from, what'd you say, this is now 172 feet long,
Compared
and
to
the other one
120.
was, how much?
120 feet.
120. So you've added roughly 50 feet to the length of the building.
But I thought what was in question was not the length of the building, it's how the parking out front impacted the site plan or not.
Maybe you should consider yourself lucky to have the other plan approved and go build it.
Again, there's a tremendous amount of office space in town, and I'm trying to do the right thing and
Yeah.
not, you know,
We're trying to
make good use of a depressed area and make improvements to
Yeah.
it.
What I'm saying is,
That's
I
where the
don't,
That's what the ZBA, that's what the ZBA is there for,
okay.
that kind of a thing.
At this point, is our board, I'm not saying it would happen, could happen things, because the board would, if anybody for some reason didn't like this plan, they could come back, and if we approve this, they could appeal the board, and if they took this to the court, they would win. Okay, with this drawing, we cannot, no, we would have exceeded our authority in approving this as it is, as this new plan.
If it's,
The old plan was okay with the old zoning. And we were allowed to do that, and you did have an encumbrance, but at the same time, it was less of an impact. And because you had most of the parking on the two sides of the building, we looked at the flow, and at that time, I don't remember all of the discussion, I remember some of it. At that time, we said, okay, we'll accept it. At this point, you've taken most of your parking from the sides and eliminated, added some to the front, and added 50 foot to the length of the building. Now, I agree with you, the building is probably more usable, and that's what I want.
It's less-
And- Yeah, no, and so I like your plan. Please, you know, we don't have a problem with the plan. And I feel that the zoning board of appeals probably will not have a, you know, I can't speak for them,
Sure, I understand.
but they, you know, because it's a dead-end street, because of the area it's in,
Sure.
and because you have a nice plan, the chances are, you know, I think you got a very good chance. But the legalese that we have to go through at this point is to get a variance on that setback variation. We've been very strict on people, you're not alone, recently on people exiting out onto and having multiple parking places.
Sure.
And especially in condos and things like that, where they've done this before. They've had 4 or 5, 6, 8, 10 parking places in the front. And now people are backing out into these places, and they have been problems. So we said, hey, you either have to have a driveway in the front, and then you're parking, to have the 25-foot areas. We've allowed some people with those driveways to encroach into certain areas, but to minimize the parking. It is a dead-end street. It's a street that'll never be made into a through street. So, and I know that also. But at this point, I think that the best way that we can do is to probably, you know, get a letter from you. And what we can do is we can take this hearing, continue it until probably our July meeting. And that should give you sufficient time to get it to the ZBA and get it on their docket. Now, and at that point, they'll have their hearing. They have to advertise it, so it takes them a month, so.
Sure.
I don't know, I'm gonna ask Brenda, do you have any idea when their next meeting is, or when?
The next ZBA meeting?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, they're supposed to go the Wednesday after us all the
Yeah.
time, but it's not always the case, so.
Let me add one more
They should
thing
be
to the
meeting
logic,
tomorrow, but
flow of
I'm not
logic. We have an ordinance that requires that curb cuts shall in no case shall exceed 24 feet in width. That's what we're mandated to do. When you show 18 parking spaces in a curb cut, what you're doing is eliminating 9 on-street parking spaces. So you're really giving us only a net gain of 9.
I can appreciate, that's why we have regulations in place, and I'm a real fan and a big supporter of that. My only sensitivity is the fact that it was a plan that was already approved, and we are willing to not impact any additional parking places in the front of the building. If I was coming to you for the first time today and there was never this plan with those amount of parking places, there would be no discussion. I understand completely. And if that's the way it's got to be, I'm okay with that as well, but
I would love to accommodate you, but when I look at it, this is not a minor change.
well, if it's the impact on the parking spaces out front, I think it's what it's
It's
all
not
about.
only the parking place on the front, it's parking on the side, and it's your total flow of traffic around the building.
So is there anything different on this plan than the first one that, you know, again, I don't go through this every day, so maybe I'm missing something. If we can give you the same amount of parking places that are now clearly a zoning consideration, if we were to give you the equivalent amount backing onto the street as was in the original proposed plan, if there's anything beyond that, then I certainly appreciate, you know, I can appreciate the point, but it sounds like it's all about the parking places in the front. And if that's what it is, then we'll address it and we'll go before the ZBA, but.
And what I'm saying is that that is what has changed.
Right.
That setback, and that because we had problems with people backing on the street, that was a specific change that was made in that zoning. And I remember that discussion, okay? So that's why I'm hesitant, because there was discussion when we went through the zoning that we specified that we didn't want. We're trying to reduce, you know, the point where people are backing out.
Sure.
there are circumstances where it's okay, and that's what I'm saying is, going to the zoning board of appeals shouldn't take you that long, and I feel confident that they'll make, you know, they'll work with you. So, at that point, but, and we don't wanna shut you off, so, and we wanna work with the zoning board of appeals. So I think at this time, I think the best course of action is to request for a continuance. We'll continue into our July meeting, and at that point, we should be able to take action. And the zoning board of appeals, I'm not sure what their schedule is. My guess is that they could get it, schedule it, and have their hearing for, I don't want to speak to them.
No, it's okay, we'll make the call.
You know, sometime in June.
Realistically, they could probably, if you can get it to them, you could probably have it done by mid to end June. Be through their process.
Back here, back before.
Right, have your approval from them, and then come back before us.
Is
for
there any
our-
appeal period or any time frame that we have to?
There is an appeal period to them on 14 days, but we don't have to wait for the appeal period.
Okay.
Right. And our
About 20 days.
Yeah, it's
And
20
then
days, and then
20
our
day
next
appeal.
meeting would be the 19th of July.
Okay.
Is it the
Okay.
first meeting in July?
We're gonna slip in the summer schedule, I think, at that
We'll
point.
be slipping
so
the summer schedule,
We'll
so
meet once in July, once in August, so that'll be the only meeting in July.
Well, again, as long as, you know, all you folks on the board realize, it's just a matter of a guy feeling like he's had a site plan approved, and I'm sensitive to impacting the new plan. I thought it was a better plan for all things considered.
yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, please, yeah, I'm trying to,
I can
yeah.
appreciate it. The
But,
rules have
I-
changed, and we need to
Yeah.
play by the rules. and-
Sometimes my hands are tied and there's not much I can do.
Sure.
Okay, I like the plan, I like to see the new buildings, we have no problem, you know, everything looks good, but at this point, the way that it's a direct violation of the ordinance, and we can't approve it, we just,
My only option was, I was kind of feeling like after listening to the conversation was that it could have been I'm not sure the language you used, Anthony, but it's a change to an existing approved plan. I don't know what you want to call that, improvement or,
that's right, but what we did was, the change is, if you had changed like 2 parking places, your building had gone from 50 feet to 52 feet, or you had added a door, or you rearranged the parking some way, that's a minor change. We do those all the time, we wouldn't have even been looking at it. But you added 50 feet to the building, and where most of your parking was on the 2 sides of the building, now the majority of parking is focused towards the front of the building. So that's why we look at it and we say, this is more of a major change.
We had one at our last meeting, there was a change of 16 inches, which we recommended to the ZBA that they approve it. But it still had to go for the variance.
So that's 16 inches.
and that was a change on an approved plan.
But
Right.
that was
Okay?
at Leominster Public Library. So
If I can,
they had to go through that.
Yes.
if I can ask, if there are any other concerns at this time, I don't know if it would be in the best interest to get those out at this time as well, if there are anything else with the plan, outside of what we've just been
I have
discussing.
a question. Anthony, is the overall height of the building any different from the originally proposed one?
Yes,
A little less, I believe.
I think about 10 to 12 feet less.
It's less.
Yeah,
Yeah, the other building was a 2-story building.
Yeah.
Right, I just didn't know what the actual height of the one-story building was going to be.
yeah, it's gonna be, I think, about 12 feet, 12 to 14 feet.
Yeah.
Where before, I think we're
All
at
one
20,
stories.
Yeah.
we were up at, I think, 24 feet previously.
I don't know those.
But yes, the height is.
It was less, it is less, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Other than that, your drainages and everything else will stay the same.
Yes, yes.
We don't have any problem. Snow storage, we looked at all of that before. So I don't have a concern about that. Do I have anyone else that wishes to say anything on this matter? Okay. At this point, I think a motion is in order to continue this to our, do you have a date, July?
Yes, we're looking at July 19th, and we do have the modification to Orchard Hill, which should take a little time, so we could do this at 7 o'clock.
So moved.
Why don't we do this before Orchard Hill?
We already have Orchard Hill scheduled, 6:30.
So make this for
6:25?
6:25, or 6,
We could do this at 6:29 and 30
6:29.
seconds. Okay.
Beautiful.
C19?
I won't make
Yeah.
you stay through the Orchard Hill thing.
I've seen a few of those. Half an hour, 2 hours.
6:29 and 30 seconds.
Make it rounded off to some,
What we can do is at the beginning of the meeting, Chairman, you could probably just ask the Orchard Hill folks if they would mind.
I think if we schedule it at
Yeah.
6:29, it's not gonna be, this one is gonna be quick. This is about a 5-minute thing. We get that variance of the ZBA, we've gone through it,
no problem.
and it'll go right through.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Good luck.
6:45, continued public hearing for Whirlwind Capital LLC, 40 Shell Road, Suite 200, Canton, Mass, for the development of 8-lot definitive subdivision off Willard Street.
Anthony, you want this?
We have a,
If you don't need
we
it.
have a letter on it, right?
Yeah, they sent us a letter. They weren't gonna have everything for tonight's meeting, so they've asked to continue it. I believe to July as well, right?
Yeah.
June or July, I think that they letter.
Okay, a letter,
Further continued?
Ridgetop, yeah.
Okay.
Dear Andy, on behalf of Whirlwind Capital LLC, Hamway Engineering Incorporated respectfully request that the public hearing scheduled for this Tuesday's meeting for the proposed definitive subdivision be continued to the board's June 21st, 2005 meeting date with final action by the board by July 12th. Request is continuation in order to finalize the plans and provide all information as required by the board. We'll need a continuance, a change in the July 12th to a, well, we'll see what happens on the, so we can schedule this to the 21st, right?
Yeah, to June 21st, right?
June 21st.
Yep. Do we wanna set that time now?
Yeah,
Okay, we can do it right at 6:30.
at 6:30?
Yep.
Okay, motion is in order to continue this hearing to 6:30 on June 21st. Have a motion, or a second?
Second.
Yeah, the motion is second. Any discussion? Here none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Need this? Oh, it's just a copy.
I think I have one, just in case.
Okay. 7 o'clock hearing. Public hearing for City Council petition 70-05. David Rollins requests that the Planning Board adopt Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53G relative to the employment of outside consultants. Do I have anyone here to wishes to speak or in favor of this motion, this petition? Do I have anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? I only have one person in the room, Councilor Marchand,
Kevin,
and Kevin.
I have a question on this. If this is a state law, don't we already go by it?
No, what this requires, this is just a little bit different in our procedures. Our current procedures are that, in essence, we take and we have a list of consultants, traffic consultants, site consultants, and so on and so forth. And we, in turn, will select a consultant for a particular large job. At that point, it's determined by the board through the consultant what the fee is, okay? And then the consultant is paid directly by the contractor. And we have no bookkeeping, is that correct? Okay? And so that's the way it's been done, but that consultant, all his reports, everything comes to the board, not to the developer, okay?
They report to the board and they send the bill to the developer.
That is correct. What Mass General Law does, basically, sets up a separate account within the city through the treasurer's office or through our office. And this means that Brenda would have to set up an account for each developer, and it would be determined like a bond, and the contractor would have to come up with, I'll throw out a figure, $5,000 or $10,000, whatever is sufficient money in advance. That would go into the account like a passbook. At that point, it would be drawn off against that account, and we would pay it, the bills. At the end of the project, once it's approved, anything that's left in the account, plus any accrued interest, is returned back to the developer,
So it's held like an escrow.
essentially. So it's a bookkeeping thing. Some people think it's cleaner, and the developer doesn't have any input to the contractor, to the consultant. As pros and cons for us, it's worked. We've had quite a few over the years. We've never had a problem. Accounts would have to be set up separately, each board that does it. If the planning board does it, we have an account. If the Conservation Commission does it, they have an account. If the City Council does it, they have an account. The way it's done today is we have one account. We keep track of it. So if the City Council is looking for advice, they work with a consultant. If the ZBA has looking for information, they work, and that all is one pot. So rather than having 4 different accounting, you have one. I don't know. All I'm doing is explaining the differences between the two methods. The theory is that there's a division between the developer and the consultant, where he's not writing the check directly to it.
But there is now, correct? In other words, there's a general, city holds
Yeah.
that in a general fund, so to speak.
Yeah, no, we don't get anything. What we do is, it's on pay-as-you-go situation. So once the consultant will come up and say, okay, I have a bill for, $4,000 or whatever it is, that is submitted, okay, to be paid, submitted to us, and it goes to the, and then the developer writes the check.
So we're just basically taking the bill and passing it on to the developer. at this point.
Basically.
So what, I guess my first gut feeling is, what is the advantage to the city of Leominster by doing that?
Well, which one, the way we do it now, or the new way?
The way that's being proposed.
The way, as I understand it, the way it's being proposed gives you a division that the developer isn't involved. Because he's not writing a check to the consultant. It just looks better. In other words, the consultant, we use A-Bend Associates. He did work for us at Target. He submitted his bill. He got a check from, I'm trying to think, Harvard Realty Trust, or one of those out there. He got a check from them to pay for his services.
And the developer doesn't have to chase, well, the consultant doesn't have to chase the developer, the city does.
That's it. In other words, he has to, what we'd have done, the developer would have had to come up with the money in like you said, an escrow account in advance. So that the money would have been there. We would have drawn it off. If we need more money, we go to the developer and say, okay, I need another 5 before we finish this off, and then draw it off. It's a passbook. If there's any interest that's left in the account or whatever the balance, that goes back to the developer.
So it gives the illusion that there isn't a direct connection between the other two.
That is correct.
The intermediary.
That is
So
correct.
It also assures the consultant will be paid.
So then that's the advantage. The disadvantage is the additional work that the city must do to coordinate.
That's correct. And my recommendation here is that this is an added task for Brenda, and I think her grade should be upgraded.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Sorry. Look at the smile I got.
And I think that's a good place to call for an end to this hearing, move to close the hearing.
Motion,
That motion?
motion made to close the hearing. Any discussion? Well, I had a second on that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Public hearing, city, 7:15. 10 registered voters, special, this one again advertised.
It is advertised now, but the last meeting that you had when I
Right.
listened to the tapes, it was scheduled for June 7th
Okay,
at 7 o'clock.
June 7th.
And the advertising is in for that meeting.
Okay,
For June 7th.
yeah, this is actually June 7th. This is another one that may get mixed up on the,
This has been advertised for June 7th, so we will not even open this.
that's right.
Correct.
Good, good.
Okay. Call to order.
John Souza,
Yeah?
Carol Vittorioso, Armin Millet,
Here?
Dave DiGiovanni,
Here.
Michael Cooley,
Here.
Tom Kerrigan, and Sal Chacon.
Minutes of previous meetings?
None.
We don't have any minutes, right?
No.
They're not ready.
Continue, move to continue, table that to the next meeting.
Table to next meeting. Motion to table to next meeting, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Plan submitted, site plan, U-Haul storage, Route 2.
Okay, this is gonna require a hearing, and we can do it on June the 7th at 7:15.
So move.
Motion made and seconded for, I didn't have a second.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion made and seconded for June 7th at 7:15. Do I hear any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Whirlwind Capital LLC, 40 Shawmut Road, Site 200, Canton. Definitive subdivision off Willard Street. This has been continued.
Move to table pending the completion of the hearing.
Motion made to table for completion of the hearing.
Second.
Motion made and second. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. New business, 5.1 William Street Realty Trust. This has been continued to July 19th.
Yes. 6/29.
Move to table pending the outcome of the hearing.
Motion made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second to table to the outcome of the hearing. About to that July 29th agenda,
July 19th agenda.
July 19th agenda rather. Table to time definite. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 5.2, City Council Petition 770-05, David Rollins, request the Plan Board adopt Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53G, relative to the employment of outside consultants. What do you think?
Move to recommend to the city council that this petition be adopted with the recognition that it will mean increased workload for the planning department.
And that the position of clerk be upgraded.
I'll accept that amendment.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, do I have a motion? I have a motion. Do I have any further discussion?
I think it's a good thing. I think, it keeps the consultants reporting right to the board rather than back to the contractor.
Yeah.
If that's who's paying me, that's who I'm reporting to.
Right. I don't have a problem with it, it's just, I don't know why we didn't do it in the past, it's just one of those things. Okay, I have a motion on the table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. 5.3 has been continued. 6.0, communication, city council petition 93.05. David E. Rollins, Richard Marchand, John Dombrowski, James Lanciani, Dennis Rosa, and Robert Sabatelli. Amend Leominster zoning ordinance dated July 1st, 2001, with amendments through January 27, 2003, with the purpose of removing mixed-use development project or mixed-use zoning in its entirety by amending section 22-24 industrial district by limited section 24.2.5 in its entirety, including all subsections. Section 22-26 table uses by removing mixed-use development project in its entirety, and 3, all sections that make reference to mixed-use development projects or mixed-use zoning by removed them in their entirety. Should be removing, I guess.
Right.
And, go ahead. This requires a public hearing.
Public hearing, okay.
Okay, so it has to be scheduled for our,
We could put this on our June 21st agenda for 6:45.
21st, 6:45.
Okay. And this will require a recommendation to the city council.
Right.
Correct.
And, this may be a drastic measure to take because it would leave previously approved mixed-use projects already under construction dangling in no zone, in no zoning protection, so we'll have to take that up.
There are some serious considerations that we have to deal with. Okay, but that'll be discussed on the 21st, so if you have any issues, please read the zoning, take a look at what's happened, and we'll go forward from there. 6.2, National Tower LLC, bond release for 31 Palmer Road.
Do we have a motion on that 6.1?
Oh, yeah, I have a motion made, seconded. All in favor for the June 21st, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Okay, now 6.2. National Tower LLC, bond release for 31 Palmer Road. Have we got anything from the DPW on that?
That just came in,
That just came in?
yeah.
Is it something that we could review this evening? Is it short?
Need your copy?
Do you know what we had for a bond on that?
6,000.
We looked and,
6,000
did
removal
you
bond.
find anything on it?
I didn't find anything,
We
but,
have to do some more research on that.
Oh, okay.
yeah, we just need to look at, Chairman, we just need to look into it a little more, find out what exactly the situation is with it, how much it was, and we can discuss it if you like at the next meeting under.
Well, why don't we take and set up a site,
Okay,
okay? And we can set up something with the DPW
yep,
for a date, and in the meantime, we'll plan a site walk.
fine.
We'll go take a look at it and verify with DPW that everything is done.
We'll set that up for right before the next meeting.
Right,
Okay.
okay?
Can we get a number out of that?
So this would be to put on the
Under old-
table to communicate old business.
Yep.
Okay, on June 21st, and that a site walk should be established.
So moved. Site walk.
Motion made, do I have a second on that?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. Councilor Marchand, you are here for a reason, I'm sure.
Just to see how things are going, that's all. Just-
Okay,
If I may,
yes, you may.
is there a possibility that members of the planning commission could go site walk 5.3? That's the piece on the corner of Jitech Drive, so it would be helpful to us if you guys had a chance to actually see the site.
Is there a set time or just?
Oh,
On our own.
whatever you wanna do.
Yeah,
Just that would be helpful in the recommendation if you guys look favorably upon it.
Drive
Maybe
by
some
there
of the
all time,
landscape
just
can be addressed in
slow
it.
down
That's
long
all.
enough to look.
That's all.
I can,
I was there, why don't you schedule it at the same time?
I can schedule it on the same
Yeah,
day
let's-
as the other one, so, okay.
Sure. I was there, I was on my tour today, went by that one.
Yeah.
So it didn't stop, but slowed down as I went down Willard Street, looking at the construction out there.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay?
Can we do the sidewalk on a Friday?
Yeah, working out with Andy.
Yeah, I'll set it up the Friday before the
If we
next
could do it on a
meeting.
Friday, I'd like to attend, but that's the only day that I'm in the city.
Afternoons usually is when we do them, is that okay? Friday afternoons, if you want, okay.
Before happy hour.
Okay.
Before happy hour, we can do that.
You have a meeting on Thursday?
Thursday
Okay.
night.
I have a previous appointment for that evening, okay? We've had some discussion on that, I've had some discussion on that zoning,
Okay.
okay? And you got the previous letter, I think the general, my feeling is, and we can open this up to discussion. The general feeling is that you had the original recommendations from Wayne Nicholas,
Right.
okay? One of the recommendations he made on there was to include lands, okay? After looking at that, I still think that should be done, but I think it should be separate. There are a number of different issues for land separated from buildings. So therefore, we'd want to, trying to lump them in together, I think we'd get ourselves in trouble
Right.
and create some loopholes and things that, where if we were dealing with only land. So we can work it either one way or the other. We can, Andy and I and the board can work up something and we can make a recommendation for a separate change to the city council.
That'd be
Okay.
helpful. If I may,
And that would only address, but only addressing the land.
right.
The ordinance as it sits now, as it was written, with those other minor changes, the renumbering and a few other dot the i's and cross the t's, seem to be pretty good. I don't see anything there where I'd wanna change that. The only issue
The
was
original
land,
recommendation you made, you wanna keep it as is?
pretty much, yeah.
Okay. If I may,
Sure.
we had our hearing last Monday evening. Mr. Whitney attended, and there were several co-authors and also residents that have an interest in the concept that he's bringing before the city council for change. I think all the members, or each member of the council recognizes the great merit that the petition has. The concern regarding the land component was a potential loophole that we wanted to make sure that was resolved, realizing that there are some lots that will never be industrial, that are zoned industrial, that could be a commercial site, a small diner, for example, that type of thing. In the meantime, the age of the buildings was a concern as well. And Mr. Whitney specifically pointed out that he was talking, the intent is to deal with the older buildings, the buildings that are decades old that are sitting vacant, or they can't bring them to the point of total build-out with no potential of industrial. The other concern we have is how this will affect potential condominium or apartment development. And there are some concerns. I have spoken with some neighbors in different pockets where there are old factories on site that potentially could be converted into apartments or even condos for that matter, as stated. But there is an issue regarding that component being brought into a neighborhood. So I'm not sure if that has any value in your discussion, but there may be some locations in the zoning map that strategically this would be a really good concept to implement, but there may be other pockets where it's not appropriate.
See, that's where, as a special permit,
Right.
and the city, it allows, either the city council or the ZBA, doesn't make any difference, is that the special permit allows you to discretionary powers in the pockets,
Right.
as we call it.
Okay.
Where if we change the zoning on the planning board, through the plan, if we change zoning, once you change the zoning, it becomes by right.
Right.
And then you don't have the discretionary, it's allowed. we also try to keep buffers between sites. So, and then if, in some of these sites, they're so small that if we zoned it and it's industrial now and it's next to commercial, and they wanted to make it residential, well, we never try to go from commercial to residential. We usually go from commercial to business B, business A, or business A, business B. So there's sort of like a buffer or a transition from commercial to residential. So that's where we run into some of these problems, and you can't really zone it. You know, because the zoning has gotten so tight that you can't do the phasing from a more restrictive to a less restrictive,
Right.
or vice versa. Now, with a special permit, you can do that, because you now have, it's not by right, and you can look at the neighborhood and say, this project will not fit in this location. So by having it as a special permit, that is the right way to go. Okay, so that gives you the opportunity to look at that.
Right.
Okay? Now, as far as the issue, we had addressed the issue also about the age, and again, that's arbitrary. You know, some numbers were thrown around. Either, we had looked at that the building had to be like 20 years old, or 10 years old, okay, as a minimum. And that seemed to be a number that 10, some said 5, but 5 to 10 years is a minimum, so that the idea there was that you did have buildings that were initially built as an industrial and used for industrial, so that somebody couldn't build a building, sits idle for 2 years as an industrial building, and then come back and say, okay, now I want to make it a commercial
Right.
building. So it has to be, so there's a method to circumvent. So that's what the purpose of the time is so that the time is long enough that a building has to be built and used as an industrial building before the zoning kicks in.
Right. We want to make sure also that the vacancy component has to be brought into it. We wouldn't want to see a situation where we had an industrial building being used, and if the owner of the building saw that the funding that could be gained as a result of converting to commercial,
Okay.
or even condominium, has great potential, and then all of a sudden we lose a local company at the end of their contract with them.
Well, you could make the age of the building vacancy.
We're going to have to.
You could say it's
So
vacant.
again, if you know, you may be able to shed some light on that question.
Mm-hmm.
It would be very helpful. Yeah,
Andy, go ahead.
Chairman, I mean, I can work with you, like I said, we can put something together so we can have something for your council for
Okay.
Thursday night.
Yeah.
right, that'd be great. And you know, if I may, Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
the other concern was, first of all, the presentation by Mr. Whitney, if you had a chance to see it, and also the people that spoke at the hearing,
Mm-hmm.
there was a tremendous sense of sincerity, honesty, and upfrontness. And we felt that, we asked questions, they were very direct with us. One of the issues that was brought up is the reverting back to the industrial piece. If in fact a building that was industrial became a commercial establishment, and that property was sold, or the business changed or moved, then that unit or that building or parcel would go back to the original industrial concept. And then if someone wanted to use the zoning again, they would come back. But obviously with residential, that's not gonna happen.
Right,
You couldn't expect it to happen.
right.
So the problem, one of the concerns we have is that, are there any safety nets in there if in fact we allow that component into the petition as an amendment? Is there some type of a safeguard we can set up?
Yes, you don't have to. What
Okay.
happens, in the zoning, what happens is, your underlying zoning is always the industrial zone. All you're changing is the use, okay? Long as that use continues, but as soon as that use changes, it's gone. It's only on use. You're not given the special permit on the building, you're given the special permit on the use. See, so this is really only a use variance. So you always have as an industrial building. It doesn't change from an industrial to a commercial building. It's an industrial building with a commercial use. So as soon as that use changes, it reverts back to industrial. So that means that that's lost, they would have to come back for another special permit, or if it's industrial, they wouldn't need a special permit, they would just come back for it, okay? Anything, and then also any of the changes that come up, if it's 10 parking places or it's 10,000 square feet, it's then triggers site plan, and that's automatic. So you don't have to worry about that. Anything that's anybody, that means they would have come back to the planning board for the site plan for that site. So then we would look at the traffic and the parking and all the rest of that stuff. So don't try to build too much into it,
Right, right.
because there's other zoning that covers that.
Well, you know, we're very careful. We ran into the problem with the mixed use petition. And that before you know it, a simple, amendment dealing with acreage on who would be responsible for site plan approval or the special permit, at what point did the city council get involved, turned into a very lengthy process. We had great input from the city solicitor, but it just boggled the process. We
Right.
want to keep this simple. We just want to make sure, and you and I have had conversation about, the need to make sure that when we finally do pass this, if it comes to fruition, that the first one at the plate doesn't take advantage of a loophole that we just didn't think about. So if you can, we're not, with respect to your board, and understanding that we don't have a planning director right now in place, the Legal Affairs Committee is gonna lean on you anyway for your expertise. And so what will happen is, we'll have some discussion Thursday night. We've cordially invited you to attend if you'd like to have some input, if you're available,
Yeah.
representation. Mr. Whitney has been invited with the petitioners. We'll have some thoughtful discussion. We'll kick these things around a little bit, and then eventually kick it back to you. And then finally, when we all feel comfortable with hopefully some simple language to the petition, then we can send it off to the city solicitor for the final draft. We're gonna try to keep the city solicitor out of it, so that we don't end up spending additional funding if necessary. And then when we all come to a common ground, we can send it forward.
Yeah, I think we wanna, move it forward. I would have no problem sitting down. It's just that I had previously scheduled something for
Right,
that
yeah,
evening.
that's fine.
And if I can get there later, I'm not sure, but they're both scheduled for 7:30, so
Okay.
I'm not sure.
We'll be there for a while.
Yeah, so, anyway, and I'd be glad to sit down with you sometime, if you wanna sit down, you and I and Andy, and we can go through your notes and your stuff, and then we can sit down and work up, make sure we get it.
We'll try to document the meeting as much as we possibly can for your, review.
Okay.
And I don't know if maybe cable might even be interested in coming down, if there's a possibility they could even tape it or something in that.
And then, and if any of the other members definitely have, can make it there Thursday night, please do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Director's report.
None.
Okay?
Hamilton Street.
Oh, Hamilton Street.
You didn't vote on it.
I put it aside and I forgot. See, that's why we need her. See, without her, we go. On the last meeting, we had a hearing on that, on the site plan for Hamilton Street that was in the floodplain.
Right.
We didn't vote on it. Okay? So we have to, bring that back up. That was that, oh, Hammond's got it.
166 Hamilton.
Right.
So the two driveways, and that's the way it's supposed to be done.
Right. Yeah, we had discussed the driveways and all that, and the primary thing here, this is okay, it was just that it's in the floodplain, and it was a recommendation to the city council. I think that's all it was, right?
I think it came before city council to us for a recommendation, but we also had
The site
on our
plan,
agenda.
okay. Well, this is what we had, I know we had the hearing, and if I can remember,
didn't bring my notes and we don't have minutes, so refresh our memories here. So,
Let me see if I throw.
you listen to the tape, it was not voted,
Right.
was it continued?
No.
No.
Okay.
No.
We do have the plans here if you want to look at them again.
I'd like to- I think the sense of this was that
Why don't you
we
pull
looked
up-
it over and
I remember it.
everything was okay with this.
So, Rick,
I thought it doesn't, you know, I remember looking at it and saying, I don't remember any problems with it.
Well, I think one of our questions was that they've gone to a reverse clockwise traffic
yeah,
flow.
counterclockwise,
Counterclockwise,
And
yeah.
the counterclockwise traffic flow seems to be more common and understood. In fact, City Hall recently changed to that, I call it the McDonald's traffic flow, which everybody is used to.
Yeah, I remember that discussion, I don't see any other reason,
So it's, but the reason they gave was that everybody comes in from that existing driveway now, so they didn't want to change it.
right.
And,
Because it's the only driveway right now.
right, so they'll be adding a second driveway, making it a one-way flow around the building.
That's correct.
And I believe we were about to recommend, what was that, a recommendation or a special?
Recommend their approval. You recommend, it's,
So I'll move.
you recommend to the
move
city,
Approve the site plan. Is it a site plan approval or a recommendation?
site plan approval,
So I move
with a
to approve the
recommendation
site
for,
plan.
okay, motion is made in second to recommend site plan approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no, motion carries. And was there also,
It's a reconstruction.
well, that recommendation, that can go to the city council.
You can see that. That's what
Okay, at this time, we're going to be going into executive session to review the resumes that we have for the new planning director.